Hello and welcome to the CanCulture Podcast. I'm Zack. In a little bit we'll be joined by Nick Raponi to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays, and after that our all-star panel. But first, we're joined by Bailey Parnell, who's here to talk to us about some things that Facebook has made irrelevant. So welcome, Bailey. The first thing I thought was interesting was, of course, dating. And the idea that, before a first date, you can go online and snoop out your potential boyfriend or girlfriend. So why don't you tell us a bit about that?
I've been thinking about that one for a long time, just because Facebook came around when I was, at the age about getting into dating, right?
Yeah.
And so, I guess about a year after I'd gotten to Facebook, I realized I'd never been on a real first date like the ones you see in the movies. Mm-hmm. And it was because I didn't need it. I knew enough about guys before that first date to know whether or not we had stuff in common, right?
Right.
And even still, I think that that's not okay because you're not really giving the person a chance. Mm-hmm. So, what I had thought about was just on a first date, what do you talk about, right? Which you'll read in the article, but you talk about where you're from, where you go to school, what you're interested in. And now, literally on Facebook, I know what their hometown was, their school, their religious views. I know what pages they like, what shows they watch, what movies they watch. And if it's completely different than me, then, I might be more hesitant.
Right. And it becomes more an interview than it does a date. So tell me, I understand you enjoy the Big Bang Theory. You're from Toronto. Tell me more.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost creepy. So you're from Strathroy. Oh, and you went to this high school. It's okay.
I will say this, and I understand where you're coming from, and I tend to agree, but sometimes I think it's not a terrible thing. Sometimes you go on there and you find out really horrible things that people post on Facebook, and you go, ooh, really dodge that bullet.
Yeah, that's fair. But, that used to be done on the first date, right?
Yeah.
Finding out that stuff.
No, I guess so, but the whole idea of the first date, people always say traditional wisdom is you try to put yourself as being this really good guy or woman, and then a year into the relationship you go, oh, by the way, I've done X.
So maybe it's actually just made it irrelevant, but made it better.
Yeah,
to you?
I think it's double-edged. That's what I'll say. I think it's good and bad. The other thing is the notion of the friend.
Mm-hmm, the word friend.
Yes. Yeah. So what has it done to the word friend?
So that one actually came from, I had thought about it, but it actually came from a friend of mine, right? Mm-hmm. And he always says he has 4 friends, right? And I'm like, what? What do you mean? And he said, no, okay, fine, maybe 4 to 10 friends, but everyone else is an acquaintance. Let's be real. That's how he talks, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking about that, and it's okay, that's fair. And then he had also said that as soon as he got Facebook, everybody thinks I guess he's a little blunt, but he thinks that everybody is his friend. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's true, because I guess when you say, add me as a friend on Facebook, right? It's I don't even know you. I won't add you. I personally won't add someone I know I've met once. Mm. But even people, if you work on a group project or something, right? And you're literally just going to work with them for a day. You add them on Facebook, and then it's when do you delete them, and when is it okay to delete them? Suddenly they're your friend. Mm. And then when you get to, meeting new people, you say, who are our mutual friends, right? Right. And it's well, I don't actually know those people. They're not my friends. So for me, it's just I'm trying harder to attribute that word to people who've earned it. Yeah. You know?
No, I agree with you.
That's personal, I guess.
What I did when I went to university is I just went through my Facebook page, and I had almost 1,000 friends. People you go to a party and then 20 people add you the next day or something. And I went through and I just purged, never going to talk to these people again, and went down to 300. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I mentioned this to someone, and they're like, you're just like Stalin purging your friends. And so I was like, come on, I never talked to these people. Mm-hmm. So, no, you raise a very, very valid point, because, I don't know, take me a while to count how many friends. I mean, not that I have that many friends, but, actual friends, but it's certainly not the 300 or whatever Facebook friends I have.
Yeah, they say that you only really have a close circle of, 15 to 20 people.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's almost sad.
Yeah, well, I read somewhere that mentally you can only handle 150 relationships of any kind, friend, family, or whatever. Yeah. It was something 150 somewhere around. I was like, I can barely handle 5. I was like, I don't know who these superhumans are that can handle 150. Now the other one, you've got a theory about email being made irrelevant.
Yeah, that one's obviously still debated, and I'm not even fully made up on it yet.
Right.
I can be swayed, but email, I've had. Since Facebook came out, I've had jobs, right? And jobs that require emailing, except I email a lot less now, because even my direct bosses now, if something needs to be done, it's Facebook message. And like right now, as we're talking right now, I'm getting Facebook messages from my boss. Because I work in social media and online management. And so that's very 24/7, right? Like you have to, it has to be current. So when I get an email, it comes with the sort of, like it comes with the idea that I can wait. They are expecting at least a wait time of like a couple hours, like at least, right? And then if I find that when I'm working with the older generation, they're okay with a day to two wait time. Unacceptable, like especially in my field, like it's just not okay. So most of my bosses I email, and so it made me think, will it, or even like you'll read in the article, but my long distance family, we used to email back and forth. Now it's just Facebook. They can see everything on there. If they ever want to talk, they can chat, and so it makes me wonder, will that become irrelevant?
So the two things that annoy me with this, and I want to get your thoughts on, the first thing that Facebook does, of course, is it tells you when someone else has read your message. That is the worst, because I can have, quote, read your message and not actually read it. And the second thing is people who I give my cell phone number to, which is far less than the people I'll be like, oh, add me on Facebook. That's an even more, intensive process. Who will then not text me, but will send me a Facebook message, which I don't always get to my phone, even though I have that messenger thing.
Yeah. Well, I think so. I guess that's the other side, right? Like maybe Facebook maybe email will have to stay around for people like you, like maybe
crotchety young men like me.
Or for people that refuse Facebook, or for people that so maybe it can't become irrelevant fully, but I think that it's on the way. But again, that might also be my personal experience, because I find that with my boss relationships, even in the past few years as Facebook has gotten more prominent, I have them all on Facebook. And that's supposed to be a personal thing, I guess. Like some people see Facebook as their personal, leave it out of work. But all my work colleagues are on my Facebook. So it's just kind of like, it's your private. It's like you yourself, showcasing yourself. But I mean, maybe that it's changing the relationship between colleagues,
Yes.
So.
Well, God help some people if their bosses are on Facebook. But anyway,
I
Bailey,
decided on that one.
Thank you very much for joining us. You can read our article shortly on CanCulture.com. So I'm joined now by Nick Raponi. We're going to talk about the Blue Jays, who start their season this week. So Nick, the perennial question is, is this the year, man? Are they gonna go all the way?
No chance in my opinion. I do not think so. I think they have certain players. They have like Jose Reyes, Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion, young guys like Ryan Goins, Brett Laurie. Like they have the team. It's just the starting rotation, the pitching. It's just not deep enough. There's too many question marks. Brandon Morrow's always hurt. Dustin McGowan. All Jays fans know the story with him. How many surgeries he's had on his arm. It's ridiculous. He's lucky to even be back. So there's question marks all over the place.
Right. I mean, I appreciate this because every year we always hear they've got some player. Last year it was R.A. Dickey. We were told he was going to save the day. The year before it was probably like a zombified Babe Ruth or something was going to come in. So it's good, I guess, in a way, I guess also depressing to hear an opinion that says they're not going to do well. I mean, you hear every year people saying they're going to do well. Do you think it's just people want to delude themselves or do they, is there any validity to it? I'm sure because there's people this year I know that are saying they think the Jays not going to go to the World Series, but do get the playoffs at least.
Exactly. Yeah, there is validity to it because, like I said, they have the key play. They have a great shortstop. They have a great lineup. It's just the pitching. It's the question mark. But if the bullpen's good, but the starting rotation, if they can eat innings, give you good innings, and the bullpen can come in and stay healthy. That's the big thing. If they can stay healthy, then I can see them going to the playoffs. But the big thing is they're in the toughest division in the Major League Baseball, so that makes it tough as well. But who knows? There's a chance, but it's unlikely.
Yeah, no, well, I guess then if not the Jays, then who? Are the Red Sox? Do you think they'll be able to do 2 in a row?
I like Boston's chances again. I do, but I really like the Yankees too. They spent a lot of money. The Dodgers too. The Dodgers are looking great. Clayton Kershaw, their really good pitcher, is hurt right now, but he'll be back soon. I'd say Dodgers, Yankees, World Series, going back to the classic old days. So, that'd be my prediction, and I'd say Dodgers in 6. How about that? Dodgers in Game 6.
All right, I'm going to hold you to that a year from now. One last thing. Any wild card team you think will come out of the blue and maybe not get to the World Series, but do really well?
I don't know if I call them a wild card, but Washington, I'd say they're definitely the favorite to win their division, but they're so inexperienced that I think people think that they won't win the World Series, but I agree with that, but you never know. They could gain experience through the year. I know playoff experience, there's nothing like it. You need it, and they don't really have it, but I mean, they have a young, good team. If they gel together and play well at the right time, Washington could be a team that could take it for sure.
Right. Now, one Toronto team that's doing okay is the Toronto Raptors. The other day they beat the Boston Celtics and clinched a playoff spot. How do you assess their chances for the playoffs?
You know, the Raptors, they don't, like, DeRozan's a go-to guy. Kyle Lowry's playing great. But they don't really have that star name you hear about in the news all the time. They just, in all my years of watching basketball, which isn't that many, but I mean, I do really enjoy basketball, and my dad played collegiately, so like basketball has always been around me.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a team play so well as a team. Like, each player knows their role. They move the ball around, high percentage shots. They capitalize on opportunities when the other team turns over the ball. Like, they're just capitalizing on the other team's mistakes, playing well as a team. So it's tough, and they play good defense. Right. Casey's done a good job with that team defensively, so they could be a tough team to beat. Right now I can see Miami, maybe Indiana being better than them in the East. Brooklyn's playing well right now too, but yeah, I could see the Raptors going far.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing you talk about not having a star name. I remember, here back when they traded Rudy Gay, they thought like, okay, they're scuttling the season. They're getting rid of him, and that's the end of it. And they were going to, I think it was not that long ago, there's some controversy. One of the former GMs said a couple of years ago, he just said, we let the team go to shit, so we could get a higher draft pick. And they thought, well, that was going to happen again.
And the thing is with it, the guy who was projected to go first is from Toronto. He's from Thornhill. His name's Andrew Wiggins. Yeah, yes. Exactly. So they were thinking Toronto would trade Gay, try and trade Lowry, tank, and just do crap to try and get Wiggins.
Right.
But, but got Gay off the team, picked up some players like Vasquez, that's just good role players, and look how they're doing. They're doing well.
Who do you think will get Wiggins at this point?
Philadelphia's looking really bad.
Well, that's right, because haven't they lost like 26 games?
They just snapped it, actually. They just snapped it, but yeah, they tied I wouldn't say it's a record to be proud of, but they tied that record for most consecutive losses. But yeah, I'd say Philadelphia, but it's tough. I hate how the NBA does this. They do a lottery, so if you're the worst team, that doesn't necessarily mean you get the first pick. You have the highest percentage, but they pull out of a hat, out of a ball, and they pull it, and then it could be anybody. And a lot of the times, the draft, there is like theories, always conspiracy theories out there that it is rigged because it's always pulled in the back, and you can't actually see what they're pulling. The commissioner just comes out and says the teams. It's like what? But yeah, so it's tough to tell. But I mean, Philadelphia's looking bad. I think they could be a team that could grab Wiggins.
And I guess one last thing. Are the Jays or the Maple Leafs done? Is it over for them? Do they have any chance of getting in the playoffs?
I want to say they do, but I'm going to be realistic and say they don't. The other teams, they're not in the playoff picture anymore. Riddick Bowe vowed to punch Randy Carlyle in the face, so that could come. I don't know. It was pretty funny. He's a former silver medalist in boxing. He's a Leaf fan. So yeah, it wasn't just some random.
No, I was trying to figure who the hell that was. That was some homeless guy or something. Just a bunch of men.
He's a silver medalist, 1988 Olympics for boxing, and he's a big Leaf fan. And he said about the Leaf coach, he's like, I'm gonna punch him between the eyes if they don't win on Saturday. They lost. Then there was all the pictures of the coach with boxing gloves and Riddick Bowe. So that was going around. But I don't know. Too many teams that are around them that have games in hand, and the Leafs just aren't playing well. I do not see it, no.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Nick, thank you very much for joining us. That's Nick Raponi to share some sports insights. Now for our all-star panel. Joining me this week is Josh Beneteau, the newly minted sports editor at the Eyeopener, Melissa Myers, our food editor here at CanCulture, and Kevin Ng of CFRE Radio. So let's talk about booze. The Canadian government made an announcement this week saying that certain grocery stores of various or of very particular dimensions can now have little LCBO kiosks in their store for people to more conveniently get drunk. So, I want to ask you, is this enough, or should we do more? Should we do less? Is this a terrible idea? Are we making us a province of drunkards? Josh, I'll start with you.
Well, it sounds like the province is trying to make a quick buck off their LCBO venture. I don't really know the details of the deal, but you said it sounds like it's only in large grocery stores, like Loblaws or Sobeys. So it's like, I mean, I guess people will use it. It's convenient, but I don't know. I don't think it really changed who buys alcohol.
I think it's great. It's a great idea, honestly, because we have to acknowledge that this is a test pilot. This is a pilot project, so it's going to start off small, but I feel that, if people end up being very receptive towards it, I feel like it's going to grow, and hey, why not, honestly, because the more places to buy it, the better. Like, I'm not really I don't drink much myself, but extra convenience never really hurts.
Yeah, I also kind of think that this is a reaction to the whole beer store, not investigation, but study that the Competition Bureau has been looking into. I know recently there was also a Reddit with Kathleen Wynne where she sort of tells all, and people had a lot of interest in having alcohol in convenience stores. So I think this sort of addresses that in a way that's safer for the LCBO, and also, as Zack said, does create an income for the province.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, like, the criticisms of this is the one thing is that, like, it sets only big box store or big grocery stores can have it, not the tiny convenience stores. Of course, the other thing is, my theory is this is just sort of a reaction because the Conservatives are saying if they get elected, they'll let any store sell alcohol, not under the LCBO banner, but just under their own thing. Sort of a way of promoting competition, or perhaps even just selling the LCBO off entirely and making it a private entity. Which I think this is sort of another thing is in this province of Ontario, we're still very restrictive with our drinking laws. Like, we had a big snafu over during the Olympics whether or not we should make the closing time, I guess, earlier, or opening time earlier, in which you can sell alcohol for the game. I think we're too sensitive when it comes to drinking. Like, we're too much of a nanny state. Forgive me, sound like some kind of arch conservative or something, but I think we care too much about people's personal habits when it comes to drinking. Agreed?
Well, I think it's something that you should be taking care of. Like, there are, like, serious addictions to alcohol, and, like, so I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing that you can make it more accessible to it, because who knows, maybe it'll be, like you said, it could become a province of drunks. But at the same time, it's a difficult, like, decision for the province because they own a stake in this business and they want to, like, grow it and make money off of it. I'm assuming is, like, I didn't know about the Conservatives wanting to sell it off. That sounds kind of dumb. I imagine they make quite a bit
their
of
whole
money
thing is
off
like a
it, so.
consumer first sort of approach, and their idea is they're going to slash and burn the government anyway, so they won't need the money.
So how they're going to, well, anyways, but
look, you can take it up with Tim.
Yeah, like, I don't know the numbers, but I imagine that LCBO is one of their, like, big side projects that draws in a lot of funding and keeps the taxes low, relatively low, and all this stuff. So I can't see them getting rid of it, but at the same time, like, they better also enforce drinking and driving more.
Well, I don't think what's so bad about having competition to it, though, not just even just getting rid of it, but saying, all right, stores, you can sell booze, and there won't be such ridiculous restrictions, so we just pretty much have the beer store and the LCBO and those tiny little wine rack things.
Like, to have both people, like, to have competition.
Well, yeah, to have competition,
sure.
yeah.
Well, as a consumer, it's always good to have competition. Well, on a consumer standpoint, it's good to have competition. That way, because when you have a monopoly, they control the price. So, at the same time, as if I was the corporation, or if I was the government, I guess in this case, like, why would I let that go? This is a good avenue of making money, like Josh said. Like, I don't understand why. I don't know how the Conservatives would even think about letting that go if they were in power. So
yeah, but it's a good vote getter, isn't it? I mean, you appeal to people's base instincts. They like to drink, and you tell them, well, we'll help you drink more cheaply and more efficiently.
Oh, that's true. It's just that I guess I'm
biased.
I'm
not gonna
biased.
say it like that, though. Like, they're not just gonna say, "Oh, you want to get drunk? We'll make it easier for you to do that."
Well, I think that's pretty much what they're saying. They're not being so explicit about it, but that's essentially what they're saying.
By not being explicit, no one's gonna. The general voter
will catch on to it. I don't know.
The other thing that was said sort of in Sousa's announcement that not that many people have picked up on, that he did say would be more sort of like Ontario-based wines, or like craft beer and VQA wines is what it says here. So, and that way it is sort of like the wine rack is also only VQA wine. So in that sense, it is another pusher on, like, generator to build brewers and vineyards, like, in Ontario. So in that way, it is supporting those regions, like Niagara region and things like that. So it's like a cyclical thing where they're supporting alcohol makers in Ontario and also making it more accessible within like the metropolis of Toronto.
Right. Now, seeing as this is pretty much just a show of vices today, let's move to something very closely related to drinking, which is gambling. Now, you young people aren't buying lottery tickets anymore, and it's making the government very mad. So they're going to commission a study to figure out why you people aren't buying tickets and how they can make you buy tickets. So, I guess very quickly, yes or no, do any of you buy lottery tickets?
I don't, because my dad has always told me that a lottery ticket is basically voluntary taxation. And so,
same thing my dad told me.
So it's like, you know you're not going to win, even though there is mathematically a chance you could. So why bother ponying up to $10 or whatever it is for a ticket just to lose it?
I bought my first lottery ticket at the young age of 10 because I knew the lottery person. But at the same time, since then, I've maybe only bought a ticket less than 10 times. And it's always because I've seen my dad always pour like $10 to $20 into the lottery, and I'm just like, Dad, you're gonna get you're likelier to get struck by lightning twice than to win the lottery, as some people say. And honestly, in terms of an actual lottery ticket, I bought maybe once in the last year, and I also don't trust my luck, and I just feel like I'd rather waste my money on something else.
Yeah, I myself have bought them like on occasion, just as a sort of little fun thing to do, to pick up your day or whatever. Give yourself that false hope. But also in regards to the LCBO kiosk, I think that's sort of like a way to make up for this loss, because if young people aren't gambling, I think you see in the culture they're definitely drinking. Like bars and clubs often do well in Toronto, so I think this is maybe sort of a shift, and they're trying to address that, I think, with the kiosks in this sense.
Now, is there anything the government can do to convince you to gamble? Like, one of the things they were talking about is instead of just having like a $50 million prize, they have a bunch of smaller prizes with a, I guess, somewhat better chance of you being able to win. Would anyone go for that?
No.
Never.
You know what? I might consider it if it was like the Princess Margaret lottery, where like I believe the proceeds go to some charity. I believe.
Yeah, the hospital.
It is the hospital. Okay,
Yeah.
like if those are the ones where I'm more inclined to spend money on, because at least I know at least some of the money is going towards a good cause.
Don't those tickets cost like $75 though?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Oh yeah, they are, and that's why I wouldn't really buy them too often myself. But at the same time, at least I know
You're not a
going
loser.
somewhere.
Yeah, it's a lose-win situation because somebody's getting the money, right, and being able to do something good with
I
it.
guess so.
Now, I have a conspiracy theory, and I want to know what you think of it. I think it's just a vicious cycle, this whole gambling thing, because the government says, gamble, you must gamble, because if you have to buy these tickets, it funds these different programs and so forth. We need the money. And then at the same time, they run those ads saying, "Are you a problem gambler?" And they show the kids crying, and then the father on blackjack till 4 a.m. until he passes out drunk. And they say, "Now go to the Ontario government website and learn how not to gamble." And it just sort of becomes like this. I think it's just all this big thing to make money one way, whether you're an addict of gambling and you've come to that realization, or whether you gamble just for fun, or you are an addict and you haven't come to that realization. So either way, they're making money from you, and you're using some government service.
There has to be an element of responsibility, though, like drink responsibly or gamble responsibly in that sense. And since they are providing those vices to us, it's an issue of accountability of
Right.
being able to.
But I mean, this is
Offer help
the
others.
same thing with the LCBO. Is like they say, like, quick, buy all the booze here, get your vodka now, drink responsibly, Jimmy. After they tell you to buy all the alcohol, and of course they have the same ads, and they show the woman throwing bottles at her children and screaming and then crying, and it says like it's like oh, your parents an alcoholic, call this number or whatever. It's just like, so they get you either way, and then this way it takes away sort of like the immoral aspect of the government saying gamble, drink, but at the same time, don't gamble, don't drink, it's bad for you. I think that's sort of one of the arguments for why the government should get out of the booze business.
I didn't know ads got so violent nowadays.
Oh, they're vicious. I mean, the Americans are crazier, but the Canadian ones are quite something.
I guess that shows how big government has gotten then. Because it's almost like, it looks like a conspiracy, but I'm willing to bet that those departments never talk to each other. And they just put their own ads out and just happen to see the other ones on TV too. And it's like, oh, I guess they might not even realize how they contradict each other.
Maybe, but whether it's a conspiracy or not, I still think there's something wrong with that.
Oh yeah, like the government.
Government sort of playing both
sides. The government
sides.
shouldn't be promoting addiction, and they should be helping people get through their addictions, but they shouldn't be like promoting drink more or like spend all your money on, like throw all your money at us for no reason because you're never going to win. But
here's another thing I want to ask you about the gambling thing, is that people saying that young people don't participate because they've realized they've been cheated in every other aspect of life. When it comes to tuition or no jobs being around or whatever. Yeah. Anyone agree with that?
100%.
I also think that I've been listening a little bit on other radio, people calling in and making the suggestion, like you had said, about splitting it up and making it more common to win, I guess, in a sense. But granted, I had only listened in for like a short amount of time, but I didn't hear anyone raise the issue that people are gambling, but it's all online. Like if you talk around to your friends, like youth, it's all online. It's gambling on sports, it's gambling on online games, sort of the quick release that just gives you that like quick cash or satisfaction or loss in many senses. But I mean, putting everything online is like really where it's been at, and I guess the money's sort of filtering out to other countries wherever the base is for that. But I feel like the paper ticket lottery is definitely losing to online gambling.
Anyone here online gamble?
No.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I wonder like what the numbers like. I know people do informal bets all the time. Like, I'll bet you $5 Tony over there gets slapped. But like, I don't know how many people actually online gamble or use the, like, I've got a friend of mine who I definitely think is probably has a gambling problem, but besides that, like, that's one person out of many that I know who don't gamble for various reasons.
Like, I'm from outside Windsor, and we have the largest casino in Canada, and I definitely know people who go there quite often, but I've never been. I don't know if they just go there for the free food or that you get when you buy.
Yeah, I mean,
like you get a room and then you get like a buffet ticket with it or something. I don't know the details, but it's the largest casino in Canada, and it gets a lot of people from both sides of the border to come. So it's definitely real. This attraction to that kind of stuff.
And in terms of online gambling, I can, at least in terms of poker, I can see there being a potential celebrity aspect of it, because total unknowns can qualify for these tournaments and casinos, and then if they win big and they continue to win big, you might even see them on like TSN or whatever. I can see that being potential lure for some young people.
Do people watch those shows? I've always wondered when they show the World
Series
on
in
poker.
The background, yeah.
On like ESPN 87, they've got like a marathon of it. I always wonder who watches.
When I have nothing else to watch, I sometimes flip it on while I'm eating dinner. That's really it.
I'm gonna buy you a book.
Anyway,
Netflix. Yeah, or Netflix. Anyway, all right. Well, that's all the time we have. Don't drink and drive, and gamble responsibly, folks. Goodbye.